I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
We are the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance. I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
And we are the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance, and you're watching the NWCA Podcast, the only podcast that doesn't just talk wrestling history. We show history. Wes, what's up, brother? Another week. We're told everybody we're back on track, and here we are again. What's going on?
Another great episode, another great deep dive into wrestling history. We're going to be showing stuff today. We're going to be letting people see at the end of this episode all the awesome clips and stuff that we have. The oldest card we've gone to, 1959, the year I was born. Let's see, January 15th, 1959. So that's about 6 months before I was born. So I wasn't even a twinkle in my daddy. Well, yeah, I was twinkling in my mommy's belly. So, yeah, cool. And you know what? I have a picture of my mom and my dad on the night I was conceived. How cool is that?
Did you have a time machine? I didn't even know that they had cameras back then.
It's a piece of rock. It's chiseled like Fred Flintstone.
This guy kills me.
There we go.
Boom.
Yeah, we're going way back to Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens for another fantastic card put on by one of the kings of the promoters for over 50 years, Frank Tunney. Yeah, like Maple Leaf Gardens. Come on.
Yeah, episode 12, just to mention everybody, episode 12, I can't believe we didn't even do 12 episodes on our last podcast.
No, we did, I think, 8 or 9.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we decided to do video and be more interactive with the audience.
Yep.
Last week we did St. Louis, 1971. Pretty damn good show, I think. Lots of history. We showed lots of stuff.
Yeah, it was so much fun to talk about a city not unlike Toronto, because Toronto did have good stars, no doubt about it, but nothing touches St. Louis at all. Zero, zip, nothing, nada. Home of the NWA, like you said last week. We both said it like a multitude of times.
Yeah.
The guys were just clamoring to get booked into St. Louis. Anyone would do anything except the Sheik. Sheik got invited. They kept bugging. Someone was in Sheik's corner, bugging Sam Muchnick to book him all the time. He came in. He went berserk on TV in a TV match, and Muchnick put him on the card for the one card that he was told to come on to, and then he never booked him again, ever.
Yeah, not to mention we'll probably touch on this later, but Frank Tunney had a little bit of a say in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Him and Whipper had, at this point in time when we're going to talk about today, I think they had a bit of a share in St. Louis.
Yeah, they had points in St. Louis, as did like O'Connor and Kaniski. Yeah.
I want to welcome all new subscribers, all new viewers, all new Facebook members, all new Twitter followers. We're so happy that our social media has just gone through the roof, and it just amazes us. So again, thank you for everybody for supporting us and following our group.
So much. Our numbers have grown unbelievable since we started doing the podcast. Our group members have been going up, lots more views, lots more. We have had some more subscribers, but we're still asking, please and thank you. We can do better episodes. We can be better prepared. We can look more professional. We can get Jesse to shave that scruff off his face. We'll be able to do bigger and better shows.
Real men wear pink, bro.
I have absolutely no problem wearing pink. Doesn't bother me a bit. If I had something pink to wear, I would wear it.
King of the one night stand. Shout out to Jacques Sampson.
Okay.
Whatever. Okay. Just don't hate on the shirt. I'm gonna wear this on a school trip one day with my daughter. Hey, single dad.
And I know how to set up the game Mousetrap.
Yeah, and I'll lose, just like I lose all the time. Oh my God, this guy kills me. Speaking of subscribers, Wes, subscriber contests.
Yes, so we announced the winners on our last episode. I'm going to give them names again, just so that because I don't actually have contact information for a couple of these guys. So Marty Goldstein came in third for third place. David Valenta came in second for second place for the contest, and then a person named John, who still has not got a hold of us. He is the number one winner for the April start of the podcast to April subscriber contest that we had. Now we didn't get to 100. We're getting closer all the time, but we want to get to 100 just for the sake of feeling like we're accomplishing something. So we would really love you to push that subscribe button, like, share, all that other kind of stuff that all the YouTubers say. It's so exciting. So if those people can get a hold of us, we will get the prizes out to them ASAP. Again, like we said last episode, this is all at our cost. We're not making any money. So,
and we're gonna do another contest in May. That I'm gonna do this time, involving Ontario Independent Promotion (ACW). I'm gonna have more details on that next week, as their show's in June. So it's gonna be another little contest. It's gonna be full of history, plus some tickets to the show, maybe some autographed 8x10s from some of your favorite Ontario independent wrestlers. It's going to be a big one. So more details coming on that next week.
Awesome. Looking forward to hearing about that already.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Wanted to mention again, I mentioned it last week that we have some booklets, the clippings of Whipper Watson. So the release date was at the Greektown show. If you didn't see anything on that, we did a quick little tribute to Greektown Wrestling for having us out, for sponsoring the show. You can check that out on our page. Only one way not to miss our content is hit that subscribe button. But second booklets, if you got one personally from me or Wes or Johnny G, the booklets are going to be mailed out. We're just getting the envelopes and everything written out together. Again, it's all on our costs, and it's very time consuming writing everybody's addresses out and stickering everything. And the girl at the post office wasn't happy when I showed up with triple digit amount of numbers for mailing out over 150 booklets. But you know what? It's our dream. Everybody loves their booklets when they get them, and we can't wait to keep doing them. Wes is going to do the third one, which is going to be vintage clippings, I do believe.
It's going to be all vintage original clippings from my collection. So there's not going to be anything photocopied there. There's not going to be anything that's taken off the internet. It's all from my original clippings, which I have not that many, just maybe, 20 or 23 or something.
And that's going to be later on, probably when we relaunch again in the summertime for
summer season.
Yeah. Down the line. So again,
I'm so excited about that too.
Yeah, and thank you guys for wanting the booklets. Just give us a little bit of time to get them to you. We can't wait to see what everybody thinks of them. Next thing on the docket for our little housekeeping thing is we are accepting requests for any episode. Even if you want us to just talk a specific wrestler, a tag team, anything is on the table. We are leaving it into your hands.
Yeah.
All you have to do is use the hashtag NWCA Podcast. And then Wes and I search up NWCA Podcast, and all the posts with NWCA Podcast with the hashtag is going to show. And hopefully, even if you comment on our videos on our channel, comment on our posts, or write on our Facebook groups, we want to hear from you guys.
We did the NWO, which was a great episode. I love relearning and remembering some of the stuff that I had completely forgotten, thanks to you, and thanks to Steve for suggesting it. I don't know, Jesse, should we do more name dropping? I don't know. Like
we could.
I feel guilty name dropping, but on the same note, it's nice for people to hear their name, I guess.
No, Steve actually appreciated it. Steve Pawson was the guy who originally suggested that we do it. He personally messaged me. I went to public school with him. He's like, dude, do you have anything on the NWO? And I said, yeah, I think we could do something for the NWO. And we did it. And he loved it. And that's boom, we're happy. So again,
as long as someone doesn't ask for us to do a whole episode on Shawn Michaels.
There might be some specific moments in time where we might have to do that. Funny story about that. Get this. Sorry about my dogs. Watching the WWE network, and they were in Montreal, and it was Triple H and Shawn Michaels in the ring. And of course, if you're HBK and you go to Quebec, you're gonna hear "You screwed Brett," right? It's just that's just what's gonna happen to you. So what does he do? He's just like, and this is in his Christian era, right? He's like 2010 or something like that. And Triple H grabs the mic. He's like, okay, guys, I know that there's a moment that, something happened here and a lot of you can't seem to get over it. But I just wanted to tell you guys one thing. I wasn't even there. It was all him. Like, it's not me. It's so funny.
How many dogs do you have? 7?
Oh my God. It's like 101 Dalmatians right now.
Yeah.
What is going on here? We're going to have to fast forward this.
Last episode, we brought up the new room, the new wrestling room. So I found a box of VHS tapes. And I have a VHS player still. I don't know who does it. Do you have a VHS still? No? Okay. Anyways, you can still get them at Walmart. They're you get a VHS and a DVD side by side. They're not very expensive. I found a sealed copy of Wrestling with Shadows. And I found a sealed copy of Hulk Hogan's cartoon. You know, the cartoon he did?
Yeah.
Saturday morning cartoons. I found a sealed VHS of the Hulk Hogan cartoon. I think it's episode 1.
What's that? The Superstars of Wrestling show or something like that?
No, the cartoon. It was a cartoon on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it? It had all the characters, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was really stupid, but yeah.
Anyways, yes. Let's bring up the fact that we're looking for sponsors for the show.
Yes. We would love sponsors to help us, carry on with our good deeds and our good sharing. I know that I don't personally need anything else, and I don't mind sharing with you, and I don't mind sharing with other people, but we need to have that something coming in to help us out with the mailing, something coming in to help us out with going to the libraries or going to the shows and getting an interview with wrestlers and stuff like that. So we're not begging, we're just asking. That's all. It would be awesome to have another sponsor. Grand River Tea has been with us right from the start, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're good. They have great product and everything, but we'd love like Loblaws or some really big company to sponsor us.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't even matter. We're just anybody that believes in us, give us right. That's what we want. Yeah. If you believe in us and you have a company, then hit us up, and we want to help grow your company. So, anyways, look, you can email us or hit us up on Facebook, Twitter at official NWCA1. Speaking of Grand River Tea.
Grand River Tea. The NWCA Podcast is sponsored by Grand River Tea. Grand River Tea is a Canadian company owned by a Canadian woman entrepreneur providing premium loose leaf teas. Now listeners of our show and our podcast can save 10% on every order by using the code NWCA at checkout on the Grand River Tea website. Use the code NWCA, National Wrestling Clipping Alliance, at the Grand River Tea website for checkout and save 10% on your purchase, of which we get a portion to help us carry on doing our, like I said, our good deeds.
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. The guitar riff. Grand River Tea. C chord. G7.
G7. Do you only know the G chord? Do you know how to play guitar?
Yeah, I can play.
Really?
Not very good, but I can play.
Buddy, I'll grab a guitar right now. There's like 8 in my basement. And I'll sing you a song.
I had a guitar. I tried learning how to play piano, but I just can't. I can't do 2 hands at once.
Oh, that must be disappointing for your wife.
Yeah. She's the piano player in the house. You just about knocked the computer right off.
Oh my God.
I'm not even commenting, so.
Yeah, it's okay. Hi, Lynn. We love you. Okay, let's set the scene for the fans. We're going back, like we said, the farthest we've ever gone back in our shows. You know,
There's so many things I could say right now that would be so offensive that
oh God,
my mind.
I know, but the world's so sensitive. I might get in trouble for just saying that. Johnny might have to bleep that out.
Oh,
Anyway.
the world's so sensitive. It's so ridiculous. Oh my God, drives me absolutely berserk. What I used to say when I was a kid, and then what
Can't
I was
say
told
anything.
what I was told not to say because I matured a little bit, and then what some of the words that run through my mind in my day.
Bro, I legit made a joke saying that's so gay to a wrestler, right? And I personally know him, and it turned into a huge thing. Like, oh, he's offended. Like, really? I don't get it. World sensitive. But you know what's not sensitive? The wrestling scene in 1959,
It
which is
certainly
what
is.
we're talking about today.
Yeah.
January 15th, 1959, Toronto, Ontario, Canada is where we're at today. Maple Leaf Wrestling. Like I like to do, and like we, every show we like to set the scene. But Wes, I can't really set the scene today because I don't have a lot of stuff to back up the 1959 with clippings and all that.
Yeah. And neither do I. I don't have anything hard. I did do some research online. I do have some things that we can add after the fact.
Yep.
But that's okay. We can just talk about it.
I have these though. Considering we're talking about the main event, I'll show this. Bingo.
Oh.
So
Sweet.
you know my history binders, Wes. Let's take this completely out here. There's the
Nice.
piece that I pulled out of the 50s binder today, guys.
Yep.
And we're talking about Pat O'Connor, who's the champion, who we also talked about last week.
Yep.
Facing off against Lou Thesz. So Lou Thesz, if you wish to listen to the Schwab Wars podcast, Wes and I were there. He did win.
Yep.
AC was curious because I told him about that we were guests.
Yes.
And he goes, well, who won? Who was there? So I'm like, well, Flair and Thesz were the finals. He's well, who came third? I'm like, Kanitsky, right? And I told him all about it. But I did pull out those cardboard things you sent me again. So here's Lou Thesz.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah, these are really cool that you send me. And then, of course, the one I showed last week, Pat O'Connor.
Super.
And it's kind of cool because Maple Leaf Gardens, 1959, we are 29 years in. Because 1930 is when the Maple Leaf Gardens was created.
Yep.
And then, or 1929, 1930, but I think it was 1930. Add 29 years later, 1959, Frank Tunney is still number one. He's got Frank Tunney Enterprises all across Ontario. He's got Pat Milosh in Oshawa. Who's the guy that ran London? I forget his name, but
yeah.
Off the top of my head, he had a guy in London. He had a guy in Brantford. Yep. Lots of people everywhere.
Sammy Sobel in Niagara Falls. He had Tommy Douglas or Tommy something or other in Kitchener for a while. Yeah, he had his agents, right?
Exactly.
Booking agents, the guys that were running his towns for him, and he had an enterprise going. You know, Jesse, I don't understand the money back then. I get it. I get the money. I understand the money, but I don't see why these guys weren't stupid, stinking rich. Tunney promoted Maple. I know it cost him a fortune to rent Maple Leaf Gardens. It would have cost a fortune, right? But he had to be getting a deal because otherwise they would be making no money on Sunday nights. And back then it was Thursday. So I don't understand why Frank Tunney wasn't like a millionaire. I just don't understand.
Yeah, but tickets were like $3.
Oh, I'm just saying. It's like.
So what's an expensive, like when you say it was expensive to rent Maple Leaf Gardens, what do you think he's renting it for? Like $500?
No. In the 70s, it was probably like $10,000.
Okay, so let's talk 59. What do you think he's in?
It's got to be
5,000?
Yeah.
Really?
It's a huge building. It had like 18,000 seats in it. Like it wasn't gonna. He had to pay for all the ticket takers, all the ushers, all the doormen, that blah 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 blah. It costs a fortune. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I do have it written down somewhere. I asked my dad about money back in the day, and I think when he moved to Toronto, he was making $3.25 an hour, and he had a really good job in the late 50s. So it would have been around this time, right? And if the tickets were $3, so he had to work an hour to get a wrestling ticket, say, for example.
Yes.
Case of beer probably was not even $5. So an hour and a half for a case of beer. I always put things into relationship of what you made per hour as to what, not that I'm a big drinker, but it's an easy thing to do. Cost of a case of beer. Case of beer now costs like $40 or something, right? Like who makes $40 an hour?
Dude, it's $2.09 a liter for gas. It's more than a large double.
Yeah. Gas is ridiculous now too.
Is it ridiculous for you in Manitoba?
Oh, my costs are like 45% of my to run my business. 45%. It used to be 32%.
45% of your expenses is gas. Jesus.
But I'm
put things in perspective.
So I'm cool. I'm cool with it. I'm made.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Card rundown, brother.
Let's do the card. Sure. So attendance for the card was 8,500.
That's not bad.
It's about half full, but still, that's not too bad.
We're 14 years past World War II, by the way.
Yeah, I think this is a bit of a soft undercard for what I grasp from it.
Yeah.
But the obviously the main event is a sellout in anywhere in the world. Again.
Right, yeah, it's probably why the thing was so cheap, right? The undercard was so weak because the main event is just
took all the money.
It's massive. It's massive, bro.
So yeah, we got Wally Seaber versus Tiger Tasker, and Seaber beat him at 10:49. That would have been a one fall 20-minute opener. Of course, Wally Seaber turned out to be Waldo Von Erich.
I didn't know that. I'm putting this down right there.
He just recently come up from the Red Garner CCWA, where Dave McKegney, Waldo Von Erich, and Baron Cicluna all trained. Gito Mongol also all trained. So he had just gotten up into the big time, and he's in the opening match at the Maple Leaf Gardens. Who wouldn't want that? Yeah. So yeah, he had a career in Maple Leaf Gardens, just in Maple Leaf Gardens, let alone anywhere else. Waldo Von Erich was 59 to 76.
Yeah,
17 years of in Maple Leaf Gardens.
I'm more familiar with the Waldo Von Erich name.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's the name he became famous with, in my opinion, right?
Yeah. He was Wally Seaber for maybe 5 years at the most.
Didn't we bring up Waldo Von Erich versus Stan Stasiak at the Maple Leaf Gardens?
Yeah, there's an awesome story that has to deal with those two guys too. We'll touch on that on a more of a 70s kind of card.
Well, we talked about it before in a previous episode, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So anyways, Tiger Tasker, he was one of the original guys that went with Whipper.
Yep. And ended up being a long-time referee. He was the mostly the referee for the Sheik matches during the Sheik's big run in Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the guy who, I was looking at some low-cut blouse over here. I missed someone passing someone a foreign object.
Who's the referee that you always say had the slowest 3 count of all time?
Fred Atkins.
Fred Atkins, yeah, okay.
And he's on this card too.
Yeah, we're going to get to him.
Yeah.
When I say when he went with Whipper, I want everybody to know that Whipper Watson went to the UK and trained over there in the 40s, and Tiger Tasker was one of the guys who went with him.
Yeah, and I think Al Corman was too, who's on the next match.
Exactly. So, speaking of the next match, Hans Schmidt defeated Al Corman.
27-year career for Hans Schmidt. 27 main events. 27 year of being a main event star. Unbelievable.
we brought him up last week. He did double duty in our last episode.
Guy LaRose was his real name, from Quebec. Headlined everywhere, especially on the Dumont network out of Chicago in the early days, in early TV wrestling. Huge star. And one thing I remember about Hans Schmidt, seeing him on TV wrestling, because he was still, when I was a kid, he was still on TV, every second week or whatever.
Yeah.
He was a big guy, big, and even in his old advanced age, he was still kind of muscular and husky, right? He had this knot on his back where he must have fallen once or something happened, and it was like a cyst on his back, and it was just incredible to see. I was mesmerized by it, like I was mesmerized by Lee Henning's breasts. So yeah, Hans Schmidt over Al Corman with a backbreaker at 8:26.
Al Corman,
another local guy who ended up being a referee. It's just a guy. That's all. Nothing special.
Just a guy. Next match is a pretty big one, considering Ivan and Karl Kalmikoff versus Fred Atkins and Mike Valentino. The Kalmikoffs are huge tag team for Frank Tunney in the 50s and had multiple championships as tag team champions, even rivaled with Whipper Watson and Elio DiPaolo multiple times in Buffalo and Toronto area. I don't know what else to really say about them. They're tag team gold for this.
They wrestled everywhere too. They probably were guys who were on the move. They wrestled the AWA, they wrestled Montreal, they wrestled in Vancouver, and of course Ivan Kalmikoff turned a good guy and became the manager of Mighty Igor in the late 60s, early 70s, and they were action personified. Ivan was a fantastic wrestler. Just go, 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 go. But they weren't big. They weren't big guys. So sometimes they looked kind of out of place.
No.
If those two guys were wrestling against Big Bill Miller and Hans Schmidt, they looked like midgets, right?
Oh wow, eh?
They were both like 5'8", 5'9", maybe.
But the Russian gimmick, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was huge. I mean, they had pictures taken with. I remember seeing a picture with all the Russian gear on and 2 Doberman pinchers. It would scare kids, thinking how bad and how evil they were, because those dogs would have been sicked on someone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we got Fred Atkins, who's again long time Toronto referee. And he was a fantastic wrestler. Had a long career also. He was the manager for Giant Baba when Giant Baba first came to North America. Manager and trainer of Tiger Jeet Singh. And he was a health and strength specialist with hockey teams.
Yeah, the Buffalo Sabres, right?
Yeah.
I read an article. I think Greg Oliver sent me an article on it. And he, when I read it, he said that he walked in, everybody's drinking beer and smoking. And he goes, yeah, and he made him run on the beach barefoot.
Yeah.
In the hot sand. Yeah, you want to be fast? Let's see how fast you go now. Right?
Exactly. And we got
Mike Valentino, which is Baron Cicluna, right?
10-4. Ivan pinned Mike at 21:30 of that match.
Yeah.
So that would have been a fantastic match. Although it seems kind of strange because both Valentino and Atkins were bad guys, and the Kalmikoffs were like uber bad guys. So it would have been kind of like heel versus heel match. Fred Atkins was a heel. He was a heel, right?
Tunney does that stuff. I notice. He does all when it comes to tag teams. He was very like, who cares, right? It's 2-on-2. It's 4 stars in the ring that people get to see.
It is, and I guess that's one way of looking at it for sure. Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's multiple man matches at WWE to this day, and they book 4-on-4. It's a 20-minute match, but everyone gets 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but the crowd gets to see everybody and
do their thing.
Exactly. Next match is pretty cool. Detroit legend BOBO Brazil and defeated Hans Herman.
Yep.
BOBO Brazil, to me, Wes, is Detroit legendary gold. man was massive. I know he went everywhere, but I know him talking to Mark Nortowski and you about his rival with the Sheik in Detroit.
Yeah. Who knows how many matches they had together. They started wrestling in I think 56 or 57 they wrestled together against each other, I should say, right up to 84 or 85 or something. So they probably battled each other more than 1,000 times.
Really?
And Brazil was awesome. He was huge. He was a big guy. He was probably 6'2", 6'3", maybe 6'4", and upwards of 290, 280. Huge, just huge guy. And as he got older, he did less and less in the ring. But I mean, he had a name, right? His name would sell tickets no matter what.
Yeah.
And Hans Hermann was huge. He's a huge guy too. He's like 6'3", 6'4", about the same weight. And I read somewhere, someone said that Hans Hermann was Canadian, but I don't think he was a Canadian guy. I don't think he was, but he was a big star too. Also, funny to have two German guys on the card.
I'm looking that up right now, bro. Hans Hermann on
I don't think
my phone. Yeah, let's get to the bottom of this.
And Bobo won with the Coco Bonk, which was his signature move, right? Brazil was huge, and Brazil wrestled everywhere too. I don't recall seeing too many Brazil results or anything from Texas, but he wrestled in California, wrestled in Vancouver, right across Canada. He was a big star in the WWF in the 60s, huge star in, I think, Washington and Baltimore, where there was a big black audience. And him and Ernie Ladd sold out all the time there. Brazil.
And I want to stress the time that we're talking about, 1959. It was a very dangerous place for African Americans to go to Texas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. That being said,
just to put perspective on things.
Truth of the matter is, yeah, exactly. South of the Mason-Dixon, they actually had BOBO Brazil billed in the South sometimes as a Cuban because they didn't want a problem. And that just blows my mind. I don't want to get into it because I have a very strong opinion.
Yeah. Dave McKegney used to use the word, and I remember he used to say Negro superstar on his things. And it is what it is. But at the same time, back in the day when there's a town of 1,000 people and everybody's white, they're going to say, oh my God, I've never seen a 6'8" black man before.
Yeah.
And again, political things aside, put perspective on the time period we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
To think that
we've come a long way from 1959.
To think that he'd have to be billed as a Cuban, even though he's a huge drawing star.
Yeah.
And, no offense. I mean, he was a very dark-skinned African American. I mean,
yeah,
he was as Cuban as I am, right?
Exactly. Anyways, but yeah, legendary for both of them. I did look up Hans Hermann. It just says Canadian wrestler, but it doesn't say where.
I don't think he is. My recollection of his history is I think he's Minnesota or something.
Well, it's like they say, oh, Angelo Mosca is Canadian. No, he's not. He's from America. He just became popular in Canada and lived here.
Yeah.
Right? Same like Lord Layton too, right?
Yep.
So lots of guys. Main event time, bro.
Yeah. Just to see these two guys in the ring would have been just such a treat. And to go 37 minutes and 39 seconds, 37
the whole
minutes
show
of just complete and utter wrestling. Like, some guy used to say on the promo, when you look at the marquee and it says wrestling, you're coming to see, and it's not this. These two guys would have been just forearm blows and just would have rolling arm leg locks and would have been sweet to see.
Oh, dude. I mean, you're talking about NWA legendary status for both men.
2 goals.
Two NWA world champions. I mean, Lou Thesz could go down to for some people as the greatest NWA champion of all time. You know what I mean? Pat O'Connor, traveling champion, held the belt a couple times.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I mean, he's great. But for and this is when I bring up the fact that at this point in time, Frank Tunney had some say in St. Louis. That's probably how he could get guys like Pat O'Connor and Lou Thesz, because him and Whipper at this time had some say in the St. Louis office.
And it's these guys wouldn't have wrestled in Sarnia.
No.
I mean, they may have made a stop in London, but they wouldn't have wrestled against each other because they wouldn't have been able to draw the money to pay them off, right? So maybe Thesz might have wrestled against someone else, and O'Connor might have been on the card also. But man, I found this picture, and I love this picture. This is so cool. This is from obviously 1965 Wrestling Illustrated magazine, and that's a fantastic picture of Buddy Rogers. It's not Pat O'Connor. Buddy Rogers and Lou Thesz in a lockup, and that just shows the. Look at Lou Thesz's face. I mean, like, these guys were so awesome. I love wrestling history.
Oh yeah, man. It's pretty wild when you look at the fact that like Toronto could get NWA champions in '59 also, right?
Yeah.
Pretty insane time too, because like I said, the only reason these guys came is because he had say in St. Louis. Yeah. Like, because other than that, like you said, like these guys wouldn't go and perform in like Brantford or whatever. It's and we say this all the time too, right? Like I'm like, why didn't Ric Flair work for the Bearman? He's too big.
Yeah.
Like, why did Ricky Steamboat not work for the Bearman? Like, it seems like just an easy payoff. He's too big. He come work the Maple Leaf Gardens and then go back to the States in Mid-Atlantic.
Yep. That night, sometimes they were off that night, back on the plane. Most nights from Toronto they were, because it was Sunday night cards. So the air traffic was a lot less on Sunday night. They were heading out first thing in the morning. But yeah, like, holy smokes, these guys, this match would have been planned months in advance, right? And
of course.
And to read some of stories about Lou Thesz where there was no airplanes. These guys were taking trains to places.
Yeah.
And their own cars and stuff, or driving with someone else, sharing the ride, right? And driving 400 miles to the next city kind of thing. I was like, oh my God.
And not to mention this card in the 50s and the 40s, Frank Tunney always had his cards on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Because again, the original 6 Toronto Maple Leafs were in the Maple Leaf Garden every weekend pretty much, right?
And there was a law in Ontario about entertainment on Sundays. That's why they couldn't have wrestling on Sundays.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, let's elaborate on that, please.
Okay, so there's a group called the Orange Men, and they were like a political British kind of thing. And Simpsons, I'm not sure exactly, like Simpsons, the old Simpsons store in Toronto was Catholic and the Eaton store was Protestant or something like that. If you were Catholic, you couldn't work at the other one, kind of thing.
Okay.
And the religious people of Toronto were so strong that they banned any sports activities on Sundays. There was no sports activities. So there was no football, there was no CFL football, there was no hockey, there was no nothing. Even the junior hockey couldn't play on Sundays, which they played at that time. They played on Saturday afternoons. Whereas when wrestling went to Sunday nights, the Toronto Marlies or whoever was playing at that time was playing on Sunday afternoon, and then wrestling went on at nighttime.
Oh, wow.
No drinking on Sunday, no alcohol served, no nothing. You couldn't even get a meal unless you were in a club, like a club where you were a member, not a club, like a dance club. Yeah. No booze. No booze.
Now I can have McDonald's delivered to my house.
Yeah.
Again, just shows how far the world's come.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk the aftermath, my friend. Vern Gagne would leave the NWA and start the AWA in 1960.
Yeah.
That's a pretty key moment in wrestling history because the AWA lasted until Vince McMahon pretty much put him out of business.
Yeah. So he was based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he needed to be champion. So he created his own thing, partially due to the Buddy Rogers, Lou Thesz / Pat O'Connor thing. But yeah, Eagle, and Vern was well enough because he traveled for so much. He wrestled everywhere else, so he was famous on TV and in person, and he was always a main eventer. So he had the money to start up his own promotion. It wasn't like he needed backing or anything. He started it up by himself, and it was his money. And the AWA was great for a long time.
Yeah,
super fantastic.
And we've talked about the AWA last episode and the big part of people jumping in the NWA episode.
Yeah.
For more on that, check out our channel.
What, our YouTube channel at NWCA Podcast on YouTube?
Pat O'Connor would hold the title until 1961, where he'd lose the title to Buddy Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and there's another big name.
I just watched that match last night. It's so awesome to watch these two guys. Rogers was so good at being a shit, you know. He was so good, and as arrogant as he was, and supposedly now that we learned that he was a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Ring. Oh my God. When we say gold, you know, ha, we say it a lot, right? But how else do you explain what these guys were?
Yeah.
What hyperbole do you want us to say?
Exactly. Without a lot of these guys were watched, right? When these guys were wrestlers, you know, Harley Race was watching wrestling. Ric Flair was watching wrestling, right? Ric Flair wanted to be like these guys. Vince McMahon wanted to be like, what, Eddie Graham or whatever like that? Yeah. That was his favorite wrestler, Eddie Graham.
Jerry Graham, yeah.
Jerry Graham.
Yeah.
Whatever. No.
So, yeah, it's just so bizarre. O'Connor and Buddy Rogers, it was a fantastic match. And so, do you know the Blues Brothers? Jake and Elwood from Saturday Night Live.
What the hell happened to the Bluesmobile? Sold it for a couple of microphones.
I'm watching.
Oh, okay.
I'm watching this match last night, and back in the old days, they used to say
the Penguin.
Ring announcer for this match, Tom Smith, and the doctor in attendance, Dr. Jerry Graham, and the timekeeper tonight, John Belushi. I was like, what?
What am I? A temple.
Okay, good. That's awesome. And see, this is where our age is so cool, because I have absolutely no idea what you know.
Dude, I love the Blues.
I thought your shirt was Hank Williams Jr., and then you come up with the Ronnie Millsap shit.
Yeah. That's his theme song, bro. The presence of another man. There's a stranger in my house. No? Anyways. Lou Thesz will go down.
Stranger in my house. Who cares? Stranger in my bed. Different story.
Well, that's what the song's about, bro. Presence of another man. King of the one night stand. Come on, bro.
No.
Lou Thesz will go down as probably one of the best, and like we say, to some, the best NWA champion of all time.
Yeah.
That's the aftermath of that. People who would hold a world title or did hold a world title, you got Lou Thesz, Pat O'Connor.
Yeah, just two in this one.
Yeah, and that's it. But again, the undercard was so weak because I guarantee that Thesz and Pat O'Connor made pretty damn good money. Yeah. AC used to tell me, come the 70s, Sheik took 10% of the gate at Maple Leaf Gardens. So there's $10,000 a night before his ring fee, right?
Yeah. People who work for the Wild Man. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, people who work for the Wild Man. Okay. I think Baron Scicluna.
Yep.
And Al Corman.
Nope.
I have no idea then. That's it. Hans Schmidt.
Nope.
Yeah.
So Waldo.
Oh yeah. Jesus.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Ivan as the manager of Igor.
Okay.
Fred Atkins worked as a referee a couple times.
Okay.
And of course, BOBO Brazil.
I don't. Oh yes, I just brought that up myself. What an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. See what happens when I don't write anything down? Because it's the 50s. So I'm like, because in my mind, because really in 59, Dave wasn't promoting yet. He was wrestling, no?
Yeah, he's wrestling, but he wasn't promoting out.
He didn't even have Terrible Ted at this point in time.
Yes, he did. He did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. You got Terrible Ted in, I think, yeah, in 58, 59. Actually, he was promoting by this time. But
Oh, okay.
Like really small shows. Tiny, tiny little towns.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah.
Real small.
Canadians on the card. Okay, let's run them down. Of course, Waldo Von Erich, Tiger Tasker. That's 2. Hans Schmidt, Al Corman, Fred Atkins, and Mike Valentino.
Perfect. I don't think we did that on the last episode.
Oh, no, we didn't.
No. Coming to think of it. Whatever.
Hans Schmidt.
There you go. That about wraps it up, I do believe. You want to touch on anything on the card or anything like that? Again, everybody, just relax. We're talking about 1959. So obviously, when we talk race and all of this, we're going back pretty ways, and we're trying to compare the times.
We are.
And trying to show perspective of what maybe others would go for. And I always say it with Fritz von Erich in the 50s, took a big risk dressing up as a Nazi 5 years after World War II.
Yeah, and right. We have to take this into consideration that it was different times, and this was before my time.
Yep.
I even if I had been alive, of course I would have been like an infant. So this, before my time, we can't relate at all to this, and anyone younger than us, even less. So we would welcome any questions, because if someone wants a question, something about that we talked about, especially today, dealing a little bit of a different subject here, delving a little bit, I have no problem answering questions about a time period when maybe someone doesn't understand.
Exactly.
Fritz, dressing up as a Nazi like in the 50s is like instant heat. Surprisingly, these guys never got shot.
Yeah. Because Jim Cornette says it all the time in the podcast that you and I listen to. Back in the day, the heels weren't allowed to go in the crowd because you'll get stabbed.
Yeah.
Or bottled. Like
protection.
Imagine that. Like Roddy Piper used to wear the leather jacket because he kept getting stabbed.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
So it's a different perspective, and if we ever go back further, we will do our best to convey the time period then also.
Exactly. Time and place matters in history, right? So
yeah.
And that's why we always do set the scene and who's the champions around the world, because it's not WWE. Right now, in the wrestling world, there's a lot going on with WWE, AEW, MLW, Ring of Honor's back, like Impact. Like, there's so much.
Yes.
Right? Just like in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s, there was wrestling everywhere. So it's good to try to put perspective on everything to try to allow people to open the door to explore for themselves, too.
And I've seen a lot of posts on our Facebook groups of people saying, when we post an ad for a show, I didn't do it for this one, we should have, and I'll make sure I do this in the future. Maybe we'll add it to our outro stuff, is that we should be mentioning on something old like this, the price of the tickets and what that relates to at the time. Like I said about my dad making $3.25 an hour, and that was a really, really good job, and he had overtime. So, I mean, he was making pretty good money for the time. But if we go
milk
back,
also cost 5 cents.
Pardon me?
Milk also costs 5 cents.
Exactly. So we have to put it into some sort of perspective, right? And if we go back any further, we have to even put even more into perspective. Like, maybe the percentage of people who didn't own cars. And if we do a card, say from 1949, the people who didn't own cars, because there was no people lived in the country were in the country, and people who lived in the city took the bus or the train or the subway or something, right? It's massive change for what I have grown up with, and even more of a massive change than from what you have grown up with. And like I said, someone who's 10 years younger than you that's listening,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah. And like I said, like even to put more a bit of a perspective on how things are, my daughter, who's 4, thinks it's normal wearing a face mask.
Yeah.
Because for 2.5 years of her life, that's what she had to do.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Anyways, one of our things that we like to do, if you like what we do, please hit that subscribe button, share our videos, check out our old videos, comment, use the hashtag NWCA Podcast on social media to make sure that we see your requests. Again, thank you very much for giving us a chance and watching our content. I'm sure there's lots of stuff we can do, but if you want us to do something, just let us know. Like we're down for almost like we did Toronto 59. We can go further. We have connections almost everywhere. We're trying our best to bring the best history content in the best possible way.
We are, and we'd really like to, as you said, we'd like to have some people maybe come on board with some sponsorship. We would, we could make some sort of a deal with anybody who would like to deal with us. We could do the same thing with the Grand River Tea or whatever. They've been fantastic with us, so we would love to have a sponsor. We'd love to get better. We'd love to do bigger shows. We'd love to do more professional looking shows. And I need a new pair of glasses.
Yeah, exactly. And a new toupee. And a lesson on how to multitask with two.
So I always had short hair most of my life, and I always used to play with my bangs.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Now you look like the guy on the Mr. Clean commercials. It's all right.
It is what it is.
Revenge one day will be like if podcasts are a thing when I'm your age and I have a mini Jesse, it'll be revenge. So, speaking of Grand River Tea, we want to thank Grand River Tea for sponsoring the show, keeping on board with us since day one. Johnny G, the man behind the scenes, does an amazing job editing our show constantly and works very hard and big part of our team.
So appreciative of his work, and he is part of our team. Johnny is part of our team.
That's right. Check us out on social media, on Twitter at official NWCA1, the Wildman Tribute page, Ontario Wrestling Clippings of the Past, and of course the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance. 3 Facebook groups. We post daily content. We have other people posting content. Lots and lots of stuff happening on those Facebook groups lately, especially in the Ontario one. All the stuff that Joe Hagan has been posting with the pictures and the programs of the 90s stuff.
Yep, and our friend Jamie Greer, who's been sharing now with the Ontario Windsor stuff, Windsor, Ontario stuff, and he's looking forward to getting his book out on the history of wrestling in Windsor, Ontario. And you know what? Oh man, he's doing some fantastic work, some really deep diving. So that's really cool for a book. I'm looking forward to that one so much.
Big time. Again, requests are being taken, guys. Tag us, leave a comment on the videos, use the hashtag NWCA Podcast on all social media, message us on our Facebook groups, get in touch with us. We'll do the work.
Which we love to do. It's awesome. I love it. I love doing this deep dive into stuff. It's so cool.
And speaking of deep diving, we have a massive episode next week. This is probably one of the biggest episodes we're going to be doing. The Nature Boys of Ontario.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk Ric Flair and Buddy Rogers and their careers in Ontario.
That is going to be so cool. I've got so much stuff already. It's just coming together, and what a great show it's going to be. 2 of the most
iconic
for sure blondes that have ever been stepped in the ring.
The Nature Boy Buddy Rogers and the Nature Boy Ric Flair both had a huge impact on the province of Ontario.
They did indeed, especially the Maple Leaf Gardens. Although I think Buddy Rogers might have wrestled at Maple Leaf Stadium.
We're
which
going
was
to look into it.
a baseball stadium in Toronto. We'll look into it.
Yeah, we're going to have everything and pictures, programs, strangleholds, clippings. We're going to get it all just like we always do. Don't miss it. And the only way not to miss it is hit that subscribe button, share with your friends, comment on the videos, watch all of our content. I'm Jess.
I'm Wes.
Thank you all for listening. King of the One Night Stands, Jock Sampson. What up, bro? See you next week.
Ciao for now.
Yeah, Leafs suck, by the way.
They do.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Wes.
We are the National Wrestling Clipping Alliance. It's the NWCA Podcast.
I love doing this, and I love you in a, cool wrestling history kind of way.
Hey, easy, man.